Inverness is a city in the Scottish Highlands. It is the administrative centre for the Highland Council area, and is regarded as the capital of the Highlands of Scotland. Inverness lies near two important battle sites: the 11th century Battle of Blàr against Norway, which took place on the Ard, and the 18th century Battle of Culloden, which took place on Culloden Moor. It is the northernmost city in the United Kingdom and lies within the Great Glen at its northeastern extremity, where the River Ness enters the Moray Firth. At the latest, a settlement was established by the 6th century, with the first royal charter being granted by Dabad Mac Mael Colum in the 12th century. The Gaelic king Mac Bethad Mac Findlage, whose 11th century murder of King Duncan was immortalized in Shakespeare's play Macbeth, held a castle within the city where he ruled as Mormar of Moray and Ross. The population of Inverness grew from a population of 40,949 in 2001 to 46,870 in 2012, the most recently released mid-year estimate. The Greater Inverness area, including Culloden and West Hill, had a population of 59,910 in 2012. Inverness is one of Europe's fastest-growing cities, with a quarter of the Highland population living in or around it, and is ranked 5th out of 189 British cities for its quality of life, the highest of any Scottish city. In the recent past, Inverness has experienced rapid economic growth. Between 1998 and 2008, Inverness and the rest of the Central Highlands showed the largest growth of average economic productivity per person in Scotland and the second greatest growth in the United Kingdom as a whole, with an increase of 86%. Inverness is twinned with one German city, Augsburg, and two French towns, Le Bourg and St. Valery-en-Corps. Inverness College is the main campus for the University of the Highlands and Islands. With around 8,500 students, Inverness College hosts around a quarter of all the University of the Highlands and Islands students, and 30% of those studying to degree level. In 2014, a survey by a property website described Inverness as the happiest place in Scotland and the second happiest in the UK. Inverness was again found to be the happiest place in Scotland by a new study conducted in 2015. History. Inverness was one of the chief strongholds of the Picts, and in CE 565 was visited by St. Columba with the intention of converting the Pictish king Brut, who is supposed to have resided in the vitrified fort on Craig Fadrig, on the western edge of the city. A 93 ounces silver chain dating to 500 to 800 was found just to the south of Torveen in 1983. A church or a monk's cell is thought to have been established by early Celtic monks on St. Michael's Mount, a mound close to the river, now the site of the old High Church and graveyard. The castle is said to have been built by Mael Colum III of Scotland, after he had razed to the ground the castle in which Mac Bethad Mac Findlage had, according to much later tradition, murdered Mael Colum's father Donchad, and which stood on a hill around 1 kilometre to the northeast. The strategic location of Inverness has led to many conflicts in the area. Reputedly, there was a battle in the early 11th century between King Malcolm and Thorfinn of Norway at Blàr, Fèinne, to the southwest of the city. Inverness had 4 traditional fairs, including Legavrik or Lethgevrad, meaning midwinter, and Fowlage. William the Lion granted Inverness 4 charters, by one of which it was created a royal borough of the Dominican friary founded by Alexander III in 1233. Only one pillar and a worn knight's effigy survive in a secluded graveyard near the town centre. Medieval Inverness suffered regular raids from the Western Isles, particularly by the MacDonald Lords of the Isles in the 15th century. In 1187, 1171 Domhnall Ban led Islanders in a battle at Fèinne against men from Inverness Castle led by the governor's son, Donchard Mac and Toashich. Both leaders were killed in the battle. Donald Bain is said to have been buried in a large cairn near the river, close to where the silver chain was found. Local tradition says that the citizens fought off the Clan MacDonald in 1340 at the Battle of Blàr on Drumdiffit Hill, north of Inverness across the Moray Firth. On his way to the Battle of Culloden in 1411, Donald of Islay harried the city, and 16 years later James I held a parliament in the castle to which the northern chieftains were summoned, of whom 3 were arrested for defying the king's command. Clan Munro defeated Clan Macintosh in 1454 at the Battle of Clachnahary just west of the city. The Clan MacDonald and their allies stormed the castle during the Raid on Ross in 1491. In 1562, during the progress undertaken to suppress Huntly's insurrection, Mary, Queen of Scots, was denied admittance into Inverness Castle by the governor, who belonged to the Earl's faction, and whom she afterwards caused to be hanged. The Clan Munro and Clan Fraser of Lovat took the castle for her. The house in which she lived meanwhile stood in Bridge Street until the 1970s, when it was demolished to make way for the second Bridge Street development. Beyond the then northern limits of the town, Oliver Cromwell built a citadel capable of accommodating 1,000 men, but with the exception of a portion of the ramparts it was demolished at the Restoration. The only surviving modern remnant is a clock tower. Inverness played a role in the first Jacobite rising in 1689. In early May, it was besieged by a contingent of Jacobites led by MacDonald of Keppoch. The town was actually rescued by Viscount Dundee, the overall Jacobite commander, when he arrived with the main Jacobite army, although he required Inverness to profess loyalty to King James VII. In 1715 the Jacobites occupied the royal fortresses of Barracks. In 1727 the government built the first Fort George here, but in 1746 it surrendered to the Jacobites and they blew it up. Culloden Moor lies nearby, and was the site of the Battle of Culloden in 1746, which ended the Jacobite Rising of 1745 to 1746. On the 7th of September 1921, the first British cabinet meeting to be held outside London took place in the Town House, when David Lloyd George, on holiday in Gaelic, called an emergency meeting to discuss the situation in Ireland. The Inverness formula composed at this meeting was the basis of the Anglo-Irish Treaty. Toponymy. Inverness and its immediate hinterland have a large number of originally Gaelic place names, as the area was solidly Gaelic-speaking until the late 19th century. Several springs which were traditionally thought to have healing qualities exist around Inverness. Fúaran Daig, which translates as the Red Spring, is a chalybeate spring located near Dochgarroch. Fúaran Cladich near Buncrew was once accessed by a causeway from the shore. Although submerged at high tide, it continues to bubble and was traditionally known for treating cholera. Fúaran Alton Iron laid at Clachnahary, where the Marquis of Montrose was allowed to drink while on his way from his capture in Sutherland to his execution in Edinburgh, was known for treating skin conditions. Also at Clachnahary, Fúaran Prisig was said to have been blessed by St. Keswick and could treat weak and sore wise, as well as expelling evil and shielding curses if a silver coin was offered. Tobanara Choiga is located near Culloden and was known for curing all ailments. Fúaran Craig and Briag is located near Craig Dundane, and Fúaran Blàr Kappa. Each is located near Culloden. Although a Gaelic name itself, Craig Fadraig is alternatively known as Larkin-Tmhoir, or the place of the Great House. Several Gaelic place names are now largely obsolete due to the feature being removed or forgotten. Drochadan Isain Duit, referred to in the tale Aom as Mortom Nar Hu Breshagus Nar Sithakian, has not yet been located within Inverness, and Slag Nar Mirlich, adjacent to Dawes Road in Home, is no longer in use. Until the late 19th century, 4 mussel beds existed on the delta mouth of the River Ness: Scalp Fadraig Mhoir, Ronic, Critaean Uisge, and Scalp Nancaorak. These mussel beds were all removed to allow better access for fishing boats and ships. Aldin Moor.It now runs underground between Culcabog Roundabout and Milburn Roundabout, and Loch Gorm, a small sea loch which was situated beside Morrison's supermarket, was filled in during the 19th century and lives on only in the name of Loch Gorm Warehouse. Abban Street stems from the word Aban, a word of local Gaelic dialect meaning a small channel of water. Many prominent points around Inverness retain fully Gaelic names. Ben Buiabig, Little Yellow Hill, Ben Uan, Lamb Hill, Crognar Moyne, the Peat Hill, Crognar Gower, the Hill of the Wind, Crog and T.C. Armour, the Hill of the Rome, Creek Leith, Grey Crag, Creek Nan Sidheen, the Crag of the Fairies, Dwar Mhor, Great Oakwood, Carnay, Boda each, the Old Man's Cairn, Meal Moor, Great Hill. In the colonial period, a Gaelic-speaking settlement named New Inverness was established in McIntosh County, Georgia, by settlers from in and around Inverness. The name was also given by expatriates to settlements in Quebec, Nova Scotia, Montana, Florida, Illinois, and California. The name Inverness is also given to a feature on Miranda, a moon of the planet Uranus, as well as a 2,637 meters tall mountain in British Columbia, Canada. Inverness is also known by its nicknames Inversnecky of the Sneck, with its inhabitants traditionally known as Clan Narcloish, owing to the importance of the Clacdarcada stone to the city's history. Population. The National Records of Scotland define Inverness as the urban area west of the A9. To produce a Greater Inverness figure including the villages of Balloch, Culloden, Smithton, and Westill, it is necessary to aggregate NRS figures for each locality. Geography. Inverness is situated at the mouth of the River Ness and at the southwestern extremity of the Moray Firth. The city lies at the end of the Great Glen, with Loch Ness, Loch Ashy and Loch Duntelcheg to the west. Inverness's Caledonian Canal also runs through the Great Glen, connecting Loch Ness, Loch Oik, and Loch Lochy. The Ness Islands, a publicly owned park, consist of 2 wooded islands connected by footbridges and has been used as a place of recreation since the 1840s. Craig Fadraig, once an ancient Gaelic and Pictish hillfort, is a 240 meters hill which offers hikes on a clear pathway through the wooded terrain. Inverness lies on the Great Glen Fault. The last earthquake to affect Inverness occurred in 1934. Location. Climate. In common with Scotland, Inverness has an oceanic climate. Its sheltered location makes it one of the driest areas in Scotland. In terms of snowfall, Inverness sees around 18.3 days of falling snow per year, and the record accumulation of snowfall was 1 foot 2 inches in January 2010. The climate here is much colder than southeastern Britain. The highest temperature recorded is 29.7 degrees Celsius in July 2006. Typically the warmest day should rise to 25.4 degrees Celsius, with a total of 2 days reaching or exceeding 25.1 degrees Celsius. The lowest temperature recorded is -18.7 degrees Celsius in January 2010. Typically the coldest night should fall to -10.6 degrees Celsius. Climate in this area has mild differences between highs and lows, and there is adequate rainfall year-round. The Köppen climate classification subtype for this climate is CFB. Health. Moor is the main hospital in Inverness and the entire Highland Authority. The present hospital opened in 1970, replacing wartime wards dating from 1941. Moor is also a teaching hospital catering for both the universities of Aberdeen and Stirling. A new Centre for Health Science is located behind Moor Hospital. This is funded by Highlands and Islands Enterprise, the Scottish Executive and Johnson & Amp. Johnson. Phase 1 of this opened in early 2007, with Phase 2 and Phase 3 housing the Diabetes Institute opening in 2009. The University of Stirling moved its nursing and midwifery teaching operations from Moor Hospital to the CFHS. The UHI also has strong links with the centre through its Faculty of Health. Economy. Most of the traditional industries such as distilling have been replaced by high-tech businesses, such as the design and manufacture of diabetes diagnostic kits. Highlands and Islands Enterprise has principally funded the Centre for Health Science to attracting more businesses in the medical and medical devices business to the area. Inverness is home to Scottish natural heritage following that body's relocation from Edinburgh under the auspices of the Scottish Government's decentralisation strategy. SNH provides a large number of jobs in the area. Inverness city centre lies on the east bank of the river and is linked to the west side of the town by 3 road bridges, Ness Bridge, Friars Bridge and the Black Bridge, and by one of the town's suspension footbridges, the Grieg Street Bridge. The traditional city centre was a triangle bounded by High Street, Church Street and Academy Street, within which Union Street and Queensgate across streets parallel to High Street. Between Union Street and Queensgate is the Victorian Market, which contains a large number of small shops. The main Inverness railway station is almost directly opposite the Academy Street entrance to the market. For the 1970s, the Eastgate shopping centre was developed to the east of High Street, with a substantial extension being completed in 2003. Education. The city has a number of different education providers. Inverness is catered for by about a dozen primary schools, including Inverness Gaelic Primary School, a specialised institution situated at Slackbuoy. There are 5 secondary schools: Inverness High School, Inverness Royal Academy, Charleston Academy, Milburn Academy and Culloden Academy. Additionally, there is Inverness College, which offers further and higher education courses to those of school-leaving age and above. The city also has a new Centre for Health Sciences adjacent to Moor Hospital. University of the Highlands and Islands. Inverness College is situated in the city and is a key part of the University of the Highlands and Islands, a federation of 15 colleges and research institutions in the Highlands and Islands of Scotland delivering higher education. Plans for a new business R&D and academic campus have been in place for some time, with the college at its current Longman site relocation to a new development at the new Inverness campus at Beechwood Farm. The planning application for Phase 1 of a new campus, lodged by Highlands and Islands Enterprise, was passed by the Highland Council in May 2010. The original outline planning application for the entire landholding submitted early 2009 remains live. This application forms a vision for the development over the next 30 years. The application includes academic buildings up to 70,480 square meters, business and incubation units up to 49,500 square meters, indoor sports complex up to 9,000 square meters, Student and other short-term residences 44,950 square meters. Associated landscape, open space, outdoor recreation, infrastructure and services necessarily to support the development phases. Up to 200 residential units. A social enterprise-run hotel. The 80-hectare campus at Beechwood, just off the A9 south of Inverness, is considered to be one of the most important developments for the region over the next 20 years. The principal of UHI, James Fraser, said, "This is a flagship development which will provide Inverness with a university campus and vibrant student life. It will have a major impact on the city and on the Highlands and Islands." UHI is a partnership of colleges and research centres throughout the region, and the development of any one partner brings strength to the whole institution. It is estimated that the new campus would contribute more than £50 million to the economy of the Highlands because it could attract innovative commercial businesses interested in research and development, while increasing the number of students who study within the city by around 3,000. Transport. Inverness is linked to the Black Isle across the Moray Firth by the Keswick Bridge. It has a railway station with Abellio ScotRail services to Perth, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen, Thurso, Wick and Kyle of Lochlash. Inverness is connected to London Euston by the Caledonian Sleeper, which departs 6 times a week, and by the Virgin Trains East Coast operated Highland Chieftain to London King's Cross, which runs daily. Inverness Airport is located 15 kilometres east of the city and has scheduled flights to airports across the UK including London, Manchester, Belfast and the islands to the north and west of Scotland. Flybe operate flights to Belfast, Birmingham, Manchester and Dublin. Loganair, Flybe's franchise partner, operates sub 340 aircraft to Benbecula, Kirkwall, Stornoway and Sombra. EasyJet operate Airbus aircraft to London Gatwick 3 times per day, Luton twice a day and Bristol. British Airways daily to London Heathrow, KLM daily to Amsterdam. 3 trunk roads provide access to Aberdeen, Perth, Elgin, Wick, Thurso, Edinburgh and Glasgow. Stagecoach Highlands is the division of the Stagecoach Group which covers most of the former Rapson Group operations after the takeover by Stagecoach. It covers the following depots of the Stagecoach Group: Fort William, Kirkwall, Portree, Thurso. There are various outstations over the division area due to the rural nature of the area covered. The operation from Aviemore Depot comes under the East Scotland Division as it trades as Stagecoach in Inverness. Inverness Bus Station. Inverness Bus Station is situated at Farallon Park and can be accessed from Academy Street and Margaret Street. The bus station is managed by the Highland Council and is a short walk away from the Inverness railway station and the main shopping area. Permission was granted to demolish the existing bus station in 2000. It was then replaced with a new terminal building in the early 2000s. The bus station's main operators include Stagecoach in Inverness and Stagecoach in Lochaber. Buses operate from the bus station around the town of Inverness and to Inverness Airport and to places as far afield as Fort William, Ullapool, Thurso and Aberdeen. Megabus and Scottish City Link operate a regular coach service to the Scotland's capital Edinburgh with connections to Glasgow at Perth. National Express coaches operate an overnight service from Inverness to London taking 12 hours 35 minutes. Inverness Trunk Road Link. Plans are in place to convert the A96 between Inverness and Nairn to a dual carriageway and to construct a southern bypass that would link the A9, A82 and A96 together, involving crossings of the Caledonian Canal and the River Ness in the Torveen area, southwest of the town. The bypass, known as the Inverness Trunk Road Link, is aimed at resolving Inverness's transport problems and has been split into two separate projects, the east and west sections. The east section will bypass Inch's roundabout, a notorious traffic bottleneck, using a new road linking the existing southern distributor with the A9 and the A96, both via-grade separated interchanges. This proposed new link road would bypass Inch's roundabout, as stated before, and separate strategic traffic from a local traffic, as well as accommodating proposals for new development at the West Seafield Retail and Business Park and also a new UHI campus. At the west end, two options for crossing the river and canal were developed, one involving a high-level vertical opening bridge which will allow the majority of canal traffic to pass under without the need for opening. The other involved a bridge over the river and an aqueduct under the canal. Both of these designs are technically complex and were considered in detail along by the key stakeholders involved in the project. Ultimately, it was decided that a bridge over the river and a tunnel under the canal were the best option, although more expensive. In late 2008, the controversial decision by the Scottish Government not to include the full Inverness bypass in its transport plan for the next 20 years was made. The government's strategic transport projects review did include the eastern section of the route, which will see the A9 at Inch's linked to the A96, but the absence of the TRL's western section, which would include a permanent crossing over the Caledonian Canal and River Ness, sparked dismay among several Highland councillors and business leaders in Inverness who feel the bypass is vital for the city's future economic growth. Upgrading of the A9 South. In late 2008, the Scottish Government's transport plan for the next 20 years was announced. It brings forward planned improvements to the A9 in an attempt to stimulate the economy and protect jobs. Work costing a total of £8.5 million was undertaken at Moray, Carbridge and Bankfoot. Northbound overtaking lanes were created and the carriageway was reconstructed at both Moray and Carbridge. Junction improvements were also made at Moray. In November 2011, the Scottish Government announced that it will upgrade the entire road from Perth to Inverness to dual carriageway. Work on this project is expected to start in 2015 is scheduled to be completed in 2025, at a cost of £3 billion. In July 2013, the Scottish Government announced a plan to install average-speed cameras on the A9 between Perth and Inverness. This has been undertaken with an aim to reduce accidents and fatalities on the road, and will be the second permanent average-speed camera scheme in Scotland. Port of Inverness. The Port of Inverness is located at the mouth of the River Ness and has 4 quays and receives over 300 vessels a year.